my name is IMcSherry, and for my senior internship project, I decided to explore systems engineering, computer science, and unmanned aerial system or drone technology with the MITRE Corporation. I chose this topic because I've always been interested in computer science, and although I don't know if I want to pursue it as a career field, I wanted to get exposure to working with computer science in an actual workplace environment. The MITRE Corporation is a nonprofit corporation that operates federally funded research and development centers in order to provide solutions to problems related to national defense, cybersecurity, aviation, and many other fields. Basically, MITRE helps the government solve problems with technology, and many of these solutions end up benefiting the public sector. I obtained my internship over the summer. I contacted my mentor in June, and after about a month and a half of speaking back and forth, of interviews, and of filling out paperwork, I officially became part of the MITRE Corporation on August 22nd. I did my work for my internship at UVA Research Park, Town Center 3. There's the entrance of the building that I interned at. Even though due to the nature of my work, I also did much of my work at home. I was able to do that. But around once a week, I tried to leave school early and drive down to the office just to catch up with my coworkers and talk about any problems I was having and any updates on my tasks. So my primary task was the development of web testing applications using the Integrated Development Environment, Selenium IDE. Basically, what this program does is it allows users to create a program that runs through commands automatically and fills out or carries out commands on websites so that the user themselves does not actually have to go through and click whatever they want to do to get to where they need to go. I used Selenium to create programs that ran through different tests on IMARS, which stands for Intelligence Mission Data Management Analysis and Reporting System, which is a government database that allows military users to create and analyze life cycle mission data plans. Basically, the purpose of IMARS is to allow military users to outline mission plans in order to acquire technology such as weapons or different surveillance equipment and analyze how much that technology is going to cost over a period of time that encompasses the mission and decide the risks associated with carrying out the plan over a period of time. So IMARS is a work in progress. MITRE was working with other government contractors in order to develop the website and make sure everything worked smoothly. And because this required so much effort, the people at MITRE did not want to spend time making sure that each part of the website worked. They had other things to take care of. So my job was to make web testing applications using Selenium to run through different tests on IMARS and make sure the website was actually working. This is my task. So far, I've spent about a little over 90 hours on it. I've made 85 tests. The website is still a work in progress, which means that things are constantly changing. Sometimes there are bugs that are fixed. So every now and then, I would go back through and run through my tests again, because sometimes the website changed, which means my test didn't work anymore. So I had to go through and change my tests. So this is what I did for the majority of my internship, create web testing applications. This is myself and one of my mentors, Doug Maldonado. He was mostly concerned with the human aspect of systems engineering for this project. It was his job to communicate with other contractors and tell them what they needed to do, communicate requirements, and any issues that came up throughout the project. Doug helped explain to me the importance of what I was doing and how everything would work out in the end. It was he who I sent my tests to after I completed them. I would email them to him, and he would save them and take them to National Ground Intelligence Center, or NGIC, which I was not allowed to do because he has security clearance and I don't. So Doug helped me with the human aspect, and he received my tests that I created. He also brought up a community service opportunity that hasn't happened yet. It'll actually be April 18th, so next week I'll be helping with the AFCEA Swing for STEM golf tournament in Charlottesville in order to raise money for local school STEM programs. My other Another mentor was Christian Neubauer, who I began contact with, and through him, I began my internship. He was more focused on the computer science part of the web testing application project. Whenever I had problems creating tests, I would talk to him. He explained my task really well, told me what I needed to do, and he gave me a lot of time to explore Selenium on my own and figure out things on my own. But when I was having problems, I would talk to him. I would come in the office and we would sit down and work through the problems and end up solving them usually. He was really good. Whenever I had a problem, he would usually tell me how to fix it. And then I would use his solutions and incorporate them into my later tests so that I no longer had to come in and talk to him. I learned a lot from talking to him about computer science, and overall, he was just really fun to talk to about college and technology, and I'm really glad I was able to be mentored by him. One of my favorite days of my internship, because it happened across many weeks. I'm still interning for MITRE, and usually I just make web testing applications. But I found out that MITRE was hosting a drone construction event. Basically, what was happening, the Marine Corps was interested in 3D printed drones because at the MITRE site, people had designed a 3D printed drone called Nibbler, and the Marine Corps was interested in using those drones for military applications. So they sent in 7 Marines along with military researchers and scientists, as well as MITRE personnel from all around Virginia. And they came in, and the Marines just built drones. There were boxes provided with parts and instruction manuals provided, and the 7 Marines split up into teams and just worked together in order to build these drones. And I thought it was really impressive, one, the clarity of the instructions and the efficiency of the design. These people who had never built drones before were able to do it. And also the ingenuity of the Marines, because many of them had never soldered before. Some of them had never worked with 3D printed technology, but by working together, they were able to put together the parts needed to make these drones. This was a 2-day event. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the second day when they actually finished the drones and flew them, but I've heard it was a huge success, and MITRE actually is now partnering with the Marine Corps. But the main thing I took away from this drone construction that I thought was very interesting, I was able to learn about a possible change in the way the military acquires materials. Instead of creating them in a different country and shipping them to where they need to be, due to technologies such as 3D printing, I learned that now the military is looking at being able to make materials, manufacture them on site in order to save resources and time transporting materials. I also learned that 3D printing is helping foster innovation on the individual level. Now it's possible that a Marine in the battlefield could use innovation and alter a design for a drone or something similar to suit his or her specific needs in order to accomplish his mission. So 3D printed technology like that MITRE is producing is fostering innovation on an individual level, and I thought that was really amazing. After the drone construction, myself, some MITRE employees, and the Marines all headed down to UVA's rapid prototyping lab, where we toured and were able to look at 3D printed materials that some students had made, such as this. I thought that was really interesting. I had previously visited the rapid prototyping lab before as part of a governor's school field trip, but being able to look at it from a new perspective, along with Marines and Army researchers, really fascinated me, and I'm really glad I went to the drone construction. After that, we all went to Charlottesville's downtown mall and had burgers and fries at Citizen Burger, and it was overall a really good night. For my community service, I helped with MITRE's participation in the Charlottesville Business Innovation Council Tech Tour, which is a local field trip in which local schools can send 7th graders through 12th graders to explore Charlottesville's technology, career options, look at different tech jobs that are available in Charlottesville, and also explore UVA and PVCC. So Charlottesville High School participated in the tech tour, and they sent a group of high schoolers ranging from 9th graders to 12th graders to UVA Research Park to observe MITRE's demonstration. This demonstration began with a drone flight. Brian Hobbs was my community service mentor. He's standing almost off screen there. I'm right up here on the left. These are the students, obviously. And they flew the drones, talked about them, and I was able to learn a lot from this, as well as the students, on just what it's like to fly drones. I personally didn't get to fly any, but the demonstration I thought was very interesting. The drones recorded video, so I was able to watch it later and see the drones fly up, and overall I thought this did a really good job of capturing the students' attention for the next part of the demonstration, which opened with a video that I made. The video is about 6 minutes long. I condensed some of it, and this is about just a minute clip of it. My job was to create a video that showed news clips from recent times explaining ways that drones could be misused. It starts off relatively benign. I have a video of a news clip in which a drone was caught flying over a White House fence but didn't actually cause any damage. The video then escalates, my clips then transition to drones being used to smuggle meth across the US-Mexico border. It transitions to drones compromising security at sensitive security locations like nuclear power plants, and finally ends with ISIS propaganda showing that ISIS has captured drones and is using them for reconnaissance and propaganda purposes. Overall, the purpose of this video was to basically scare the high schoolers on what drones could be used for. And after this, what they did was they split up into groups and they brainstormed different counter drone solutions. And I thought this was really interesting, seeing what kind of things they came up with. A lot of groups talked about having larger drones carry nets to capture smaller drones. Some people even thought of birds, which I thought was really interesting and kind of far-fetched. When I was doing my research, I learned that some countries are actually investigating using birds to take down drones when necessary. After I presented the video, more MITRE employees gave presentations on what MITRE is doing with drone technology. And then we were able to go around the room and talk about how we got there. And I was grateful to take the opportunity to tell the high schoolers about how I got the internship and hopefully inspire them to pursue their interests as well in all technological fields, by showing that it was possible to get an internship at a technology corporation such as MITRE. My video. Please go to the next slide. Doing all this research on the possible misuses of drones for the tech tour inspired me to pursue my research thesis question, which was, how is expanding drone technology, what are the ramifications of drone technology expanding on public safety, and what are the best ways to protect the public against drone misuse? First of all, to answer this question, I had to define drone misuse, which I split up into two categories: accidental misuse and intentional misuse. Accidental misuse is just what it sounds like. People who don't mean to cause harm, who don't exactly know how to use drones safely or aren't aware of the regulations, using drones in such a way that poses a risk to the public. And intentional drone misuse, which is people using drones on purpose to harm people, such as by violating privacy or by carrying dangerous payloads to public areas in order to cause harm that way. So in order to protect the public against these two types of drone misuse, there were three broad solution categories that I investigated. Regulation was the first one, which involves creating laws and rules aimed to prevent the public from misusing drones. Right now, the Federal Aviation Administration requires all users to register their drones and pay a $5 drone registration fee. If drones weigh less than 0.55 pounds, about half a pound, then drones do not have to be registered. Some rules that all drone users have to follow include flying drones below 400 feet, not exceeding 100 miles per hour, and not flying near airports, and they also have to keep drones within their line of sight. In order to improve these regulations, I decided to expand the category of aircraft to encompass drones as well. That does not mean this DJI Phantom 3 is going to be included in the same category as the Boeing 747, but it means with drones classified as aircraft, the public will be able to take drones more seriously. Laws involving drones will hold more gravity, and overall the public will treat drones in a safer manner. I also decided to get rid of the height minimum or the weight minimum to classify drones as legitimate aircraft. Right now, if it's less than half a pound, you don't have to register it. But I thought with expanding drone technology, soon people are going to have drones that weigh much less than half a pound. As technology expands, lighter materials are used, smaller drones are made, and those small drones are still going to be able to be used to cause harm to the public. So I decided to classify all drones as legitimate aircraft in order to regulate them and improve public safety by providing more resources to the public so that they can better understand drone safety. Regulation can take care of accidental drone misuse, but in order to take care of intentional drone misuse, you're going to have to, one, detect the drones, and two, neutralize them or interdict them. In order to detect them, I decided to implement the technology known as Drone Ranger, which is a radar detection system using a 360-degree radar detection unit. And this system would be used to detect all drones within 6 kilometers using radar. But one of the disadvantages of radar is that you can't really identify the drone just using radar. You know it's there, but you don't know how fast it's moving, what payload it's carrying, which is why Drone Ranger can also be equipped with a thermal camera and a visible light camera, so that once the drones are found using radar, they can be further analyzed using the cameras so that people can determine exactly how much of a threat they pose. Drone Ranger also has interdiction capabilities. It can jam frequencies so that many threats could be countered by activating this communication jammer. However, in the case that humans are needed to specifically ensure that no harm is caused to the public, I decided to implement 2 solutions, one of which is the drone gun manufactured by Drone Shield, which, when pointed at a drone and activated, it causes the drone to either fly back to its user or just begin a safe, controlled landing so that it does not cause any harm to the public. This technology is effective because it doesn't use bullets or missiles or anything that can destroy a drone and cause it to fall on public areas or activate an explosive payload. So I thought this was an effective solution, and I also decided to implement Skywall 100, which is a shoulder-mounted projectile launcher. Uses compressed air to shoot a smart projectile into the air. Upon nearing the drone, the projectile will deploy a net and capture the drone, and then deploy a parachute in order to safely land the drone so that it does not harm the public. Both of these solutions I thought were very effective on the individual level so that people who are trained can go out and make sure drones do not cause any harm. This is an overview of my solution plan. In order to protect against accidental misuse, we'll create new regulations and better inform the public. In order to prevent against intentional misuse, we will use technologies that detect and interdict drones. All of these together will be implemented on the local scale by training local law enforcement agents to use this technology and to uphold drone regulations. After calculating the costs, using some rough estimates based on the number of police officers in the US, training costs, and the cost of the technology, I determined that this solution plan would cost about $970 million, which in the grand scheme of national security is a relatively low amount of money and would ensure public safety from the misuse of drone technology. Part of my legacy, I think, is my involvement with the Tech Tour. Now MITRE has this video that they can use later, and I really hope I inspired children or high schoolers to pursue their technological passions. However, I also have a more tangible part of my legacy. My internship was a paid internship, and for the hours that I counted for my Blue Ridge Virtual Governor School senior project, I donated the money I received to the William Monroe High School robotics team. The robotics team received $200 in the form of a check for use, buying new parts, and entering new tournaments. I made this donation after this year's robotics season ended, but considering that the robotics team this year made it to the state competition, I think this donation could help them a lot in following years to go even further. This is the robotics team shirt, front and back. This is the front. I'm immortalized on the shirt at the bottom here. So I thought that was really cool that I was able to be recognized for this donation. My advice to future seniors who go through an internship project is to take advantage of every single opportunity you can. One day in math class, after we finished our lesson, I checked my phone and I saw that I was invited to the 103rd annual Chamber of Commerce dinner. I had no idea what it was. I didn't know where it was. And I didn't know if it would fit in my schedule, but I thought this could be a great opportunity. Let's just try it out. So I went to the dinner. It was a little bit hard getting there, but after I got there, after I got over how overwhelming it was being the youngest person in that room, I really was able to talk to people, enjoy the food, and just learn a lot about local business. I met local news anchor Henry Graff. I met UVA's president, Teresa Sullivan, who I did not take a selfie with, unfortunately. And I also met NBC News national correspondent Kelly O'Donnell, and I was able to talk to her about government. And I thought that was really cool. And just the fact that when people offer you an internship, there are going to be opportunities that you aren't aware of at the beginning, but that I think people should definitely take advantage of, because you never know when a cool opportunity like this is going to be presented, and you're going to learn a lot from it. Going with this, I would advise future seniors to not look at this as a project or a mandatory verbiage project, but instead to just look at it as a learning experience, to take advantage of it, draw it out for as long as you can, and to not just do the minimum, just keep going, take advantage of every single opportunity that's presented to you. What I learned about myself during this presentation, or during this internship, I learned that I'm interested in computer science. While right now I don't want to continue to major in it, I would still like to study it in college, because I learned that it has a lot more broad applications than I originally thought. I didn't do any real coding for my project, but I still was able to learn about computer science and accomplish things through the use of programs other people made. And I thought that was really interesting. I also learned how to be comfortable in a professional workplace environment. At the beginning, I was very nervous, but as I settled in, I got to know my coworkers, and I was able to feel like a productive member of the team. And I thought that was really cool. What are my future plans? Well, in the short term, I plan to continue my minor internship, hopefully into the summer. And then I'm not 100% sure on where I want to go to college, but right now I'm leaning towards the University of Southern California's Viterbi School of Engineering, where I right now plan to major in biomedical engineering with an emphasis in biochemical engineering. Does anybody have any questions?
Where did you get the number on how you decided how much the drone interdiction systems were going to cost? You quoted a number of like 980 million, something like that. So how did you determine?
So the majority of that cost and what the plan was training costs. 750 million of that was the cost of training all the police officers. I based that estimate off of training costs in the past and then adjusted them for inflation, and picked a number that I thought would be a reasonable number of police officers to train. As far as the technology goes, when I was researching the technology, a lot of it is still in development, and I couldn't get a price on any of the technologies. On Skywaller, Drone Gunner, Drone Ranger, none of those companies actually told you how much the technology costed. So I estimated that Drone Ranger would be about $5,000, and the other two would be $2,000. So that's a rough estimate. But since I wasn't able to get any other information on it, that's what I went with. And then I multiplied the costs by the number of police stations in the United States. And for police stations with more than 25,000 people, I scaled it up, buying more technology, just in order to protect more people, you need more technology. So that's where the cost came from. Anyone else?
You talk a lot about the regulatory stuff or aspect of drone use and sort of the misuse of drones, what did you find like some more positive or innovative uses for drones?
There were a lot of educational uses for drones. I was able to experience that with the tech work. So drones can be used educationally in a lot of ways. Um, I also know that a lot of people use drones recreationally. There are drone racing. I think things like that are really cool. So I think drones have a lot of positive applications. I also looked into commercial application of drones. I know Amazon's drone delivery is gathering support. There are a lot of different ways businesses can use drones to deliver materials or obtain video information that can help people in a lot of ways.
So you said in your presentation that I'm interested in that 2-day event where the Marines came in and 3D printed components to the drone, and then the next day built it. So I was wondering, I helped teach a class at JMU. It's called Hacking for Defense, where we use drones for the military. And I was interested, did they do that 3D printing in the lab, or did they actually go into the field and do it also there?
All the 3D printed drones, like the bodies of the drones, were manufactured. They were manufactured on site in Charlottesville, but they were made before the Marines came in because it would take a long time, and we didn't want to have the Marines sitting there waiting for the drones to be printed. But the bodies of the drones, all the 3D printed components, were printed on site in Charlottesville. And then the Marines came in and made all the wiring work, and then connected that to the bodies, and then. Mr. Shiflett.
Sorry, I missed the beginning of the presentation. Did you talk to anybody in law enforcement about penalties for misuse of drones? Is there a profile of drone users who do this?
I was not able to talk to anyone in law enforcement about drones. No, I did look up penalties. Right now, drone misuse, I believe the main penalties for relatively benign drone misuse, like accidentally violating the FAA's regulations, just involve fines and I believe revoking your license to use drones. But I wasn't able to talk to any law enforcement agents about this now. As far as the average profile for someone who does misuse drones, I didn't get a clear picture of this, but I would assume it to be teenagers who just use drones and want to show off, and just that aren't aware of the regulations.
I would think